republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Our item of business this evening is the purchase of a fire engine, LFD. Ms. Kleiner.
So last Wednesday evening, we discussed a warrant article. We've had some developments in the research of the best option for the town and for the Litchfield Fire Department. And we asked Interim Chief Nickel to present to you tonight some developments that arose in working through that article.
Okay, thank you. Interim Chief, Deputy Chief, welcome.
Energy
Committee behind us.
Yeah, so in the audience are a couple of the committee members, Matt Tropiano, Craig Cartier, and Paul Kelly are here.
Okay, thank you, welcome.
So first I would like to personally thank each member of the Board of Selectmen for your decisions and actions taken at the last Selectmen's meeting to use $600,000 of ARPA towards the purchase of a replacement fire engine. We all know the hard decisions this board took during last week's meeting with so many other important needs of the community. Every member of Litchfield Fire Rescue sincerely thanks you for recognizing the current situation the department is in. The need for a new fire truck to help our old, tired fleet has recently become even more concerning after we've spent $48,000 and approximately $22,000 on needed repairs for both Engine 1 and Engine 4 respectively. This with the need for weekend hours to provide adequate coverage for emergency response to the community are both critically needed. Thank you again for your support. Both these identified needs will greatly enhance public safety. During the past 4 years, the Fire Truck Replacement Committee, who are, again, are before you tonight, have put considerable time and effort into designing a fire truck that meets the needs of the community, not just today, but also for the future of the department and the community. Our original goal and intent in building a replacement fire truck was to add enough extra water into the new design that when the 1991 Mack tanker was no longer serviceable, the new engine would carry the extra water for areas without sufficient hydrant coverage. The current Engine 2 holds 1,000 gallons of water. We were going to add an additional 500 gallons to the new truck for a total of 1,500 gallons of water. We had been asked by this board, the Budget Committee, and a private citizen during the last year to consider purchasing a used fire truck or getting a truck that doesn't have everything we are looking for but still meets the needs of the fire department and the community. What we have learned during the last year is that a used fire engine less than 18 years old and carrying a minimum of 1,000 gallons of water is a unicorn and non-existent. It's not obtainable, and with an average of 60 to 80 other fire departments in the country actively pursuing a used truck, the same as Litchfield is, the odds of winning the numbers on the lottery are greater than buying a used fire truck. I would like to thank Mr. Cabral, one of our residents, for researching the used fire trucks that he has shared with the department and the board. We have looked at and called on a few vehicles from that list. Unfortunately, the trucks he found are only city fire trucks of less than 1,000 gallons of water and do not meet the needs of the community. City trucks carry between 500 to 750 gallons of water, but have access to fire hydrants nearly every 300 feet. Last week, after meeting with our sales rep from Emergency One Fire Trucks and the town administrator to determine our lease purchase options for the warrant article, I asked the sales rep if he could check and see if E1 was planning on building any demo fire trucks this year. Sometimes the manufacturer will slip a new fire truck build in between purchase vehicles already on the assembly line. They won't show up on the websites or inventory until they are almost completely built. Incredibly for us, there were 2 fire trucks at Greenwood Fire Apparatus put on the line a year and a half ago. The first one, which will be finished this month, in January that we're currently in, has already been sold. The second truck will be completed in February next month and is available for delivery in March or April of this year. E1 is asking for a non-binding contract to be signed by the town administrator or the board chair to hold the truck from being sold to another department. The contract does not cost the town any money to hold the truck and stipulates that we intend to purchase the truck either through ARPA funds or a warrant article contingent on passing in March 2023. If the town decides to not purchase the truck, there is no penalty to the town, and it will be available for purchase or use as a demo truck by Greenwood Fire Apparatus. Because this truck has been paid to be built for Greenwood Fire Apparatus and put on the assembly line a year and a half ago, it was prior to the last 4 to 5 large price increases that we're currently seeing in fire trucks. This truck is available to us to purchase at the 2021 price. This truck is almost entirely built of marine-grade stainless steel and comes with a 25-year warranty. Incredible opportunity to It's an incredible opportunity to purchase a 2023 fire engine and not only receive it in a few months, but at a substantial savings to the taxpayers. This truck is less than $682,000, which we locked in at last year's March voting. The truck that we're asking for is $656,899. We have come to the conclusion that this rare opportunity to get a brand new 2023 fire engine for the community in a few months rather than 2-year wait at a substantially lower price should not be passed up. This truck meets 90% of our original bid spec. So we spent the last 4 years coming up with a bid spec, how much compartment space we need, what we need to carry on the truck, the types of equipment, the type of calls that it's going to go to, how much water it needs. And out of our entire bid spec, 90% of what we've all come up with for what we need is in this truck. Our current engine 2 has 1,000 gallons of water, as does the new engine. The committee agrees that we should purchase this engine, which replaces our old truck in kind with the same amount of water we currently carry on this truck today. We lose nothing, but gain the added benefit that the new truck has a larger 1,500 gallon per minute pump, which will give us a higher water pumping capacity at a fire. In the meantime, we will keep running the tanker truck and reevaluate its need over the next several years to see if the added hydrants in the town justify having it or the need to still replace it. We have found that used tanker trucks of various water capacities cost less money, they have newer model years that are available, and they're plentiful currently on the internet and may offer a cheaper solution if the decision is made that extra water is still needed. Now the new truck. The new truck that we're looking at is a 2023. It's all stainless steel construction, which the committee originally looked at 4 years ago. We were going to try and buy a stainless steel truck because with rusting and everything that happens, you'll get 25 years out of it. The only thing that is not stainless steel is the cab. The cab is made in Ocala, Florida, which is where most emergency one trucks are made. The cab and chassis are made in Hamburg, New York, completely out of stainless steel. The fire pump is made completely out of stainless steel. So the truck has a bumper-to-bumper warranty of 25 years. It has a paint warranty on the truck of 10 to 12 years, non-prorated, which is unheard of for a fire truck. And then other than that, it has other smaller warranties on it. But basically, if we get this truck, you're talking that we have trucks now that are already 25 years. And if we were to purchase this vehicle, it would still be under warranty for 25 years. So the other difference with this new truck is that it has rollover protection. I actually have a picture that I can pass around where when you go to Ocala to the emergency one company, this is sitting out in the parking lot, and there's 120,000 pounds of weight sitting on this chassis, this cab. It has no paint on it. This truck has been sitting there for a better part of 15 years that I'm aware of, and it still has absolutely no rust or anything on it. It's because of the corrosion protections that they do. And that was their idea of putting it out there, was to actually see how many years they would get out of the truck before there was any type of corrosion. Any parts that are regular metal that are on the truck are dipped in a corrosion-resistant vat, and all the bolts and everything are stainless steel that are put into it, and it's all sealed so that no water or anything can penetrate through. This truck is $140,000 less than what we requested for the new truck. Again, it started 2 years ago on the assembly line. So we're reaping the cost savings of getting a truck that before all these price increases came, we're going to benefit from it now. Because what they do is Greenwood Fire Apparatus buys the truck from Emergency One. And what they do is they put it onto the lot. So all they did is they added it in 2 years ago. And when they have time, they were working on the truck. And so they bought all the parts at the cheaper prices 2 years ago. This new truck will, once it arrives, will take the wear and tear off of all our other apparatus. With all the warranties that are on it, it would run first due. So everything that Engine 1 is currently doing, Engine 2 would be the new truck going to all the calls. And then it'll give a breather to Engine 1 and Engine 4, which will give us better lifespan out of them. The original CIP report called for replacing 2 fire trucks, but as the CIP committee probably remembers, the Chief Freitzel, had asked before to drop 1 truck. We are very confident that if we were to purchase this truck, that number one, it's going to help our ISO rating. It's going to give more fire protection to the firefighters, rollover protection, crash protection. There's data recorders on the truck. And again, it's going to help us with our fleet. We just put a lot of money into Engine 4 and Engine 1, so that should help push the fleet down the road and keep it in a good state. And again, when we do get to the point where the tanker is ready to be replaced, we'll have a lot more solid information behind us with all the new development going in, whether we still need to have a tanker or the tanker doesn't need to be replaced at all. And even if we did have to replace the tanker, it's half the money of an engine. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
What was the warrant article last year? What was the ask from the taxpayers?
It was $682,000, but that was a locked-in price that they held. Mm-hmm. Had anybody else, say Londonderry or Hudson, wanted to buy that same truck, it would have cost them, I think, $720,000 at March of last year.
We knocked the years off of their
Right.
off of the interest. Okay.
Yeah, instead of what, 70 or 5, I think it was, on that one.
Yeah. Okay. And how much did the board vote to spend last week of ARPA money?
Up to 600K.
Up to 600K.
Yep.
So I believe last week, where we left off was we had been told that if we were to buy the fire truck in March after town meeting, the price was going to raise to $829. The board asked Doug and I to go back and try to keep that at the $753 that they were currently offering now. We did that. They agreed to that. Then this option became available. So even if you kept the truck at the $753, you're talking 2 years out before you take possession of it. We would have paid the $600 with ARPA, financed $153, which left 5 years at roughly $35,000. And you're 2 years out. this option, gets us a fire truck, this March, you have available, in total, after what we spent the other evening on the tasers and the IT equipment, $797,901 in ARPA.
797?
797,901. So you have the option, you could buy the truck, this truck, the new truck in March, take possession. Unfortunately, we would still be a tad under what we would need for the backhoe, which I know was a concern. Roughly 15 to 18,000.
Okay, we've talked about the use of the ARPA funds, and we can spend those without the benefit of a warrant article. But we had a warrant article last year, which was, surprisingly, voted down. So, in the spirit of no means no, it's my feeling that whatever we do with this, that we need to go back to the people with a warrant article, even if the majority of the funds come from ARPA. We need an affirmative vote by the people to say they want this fire truck. And I have every confidence that they will. But I do firmly believe that no means no, and that was last year. We did not earlier approve spending ARPA funds immediately for that exact reason, because the people voted no. Now we come back to them this year with a whole new deal, okay? It's a brand new, it's a different truck. We're not spending all the ARPA funds. We could probably work some sort of a deal so that we could get the backhoe, but I, as a selectman, feel that we owe it to the people to get that affirmative vote. So what I would say is that we propose some value from ARPA that leaves us enough money for the backhoe, and the rest we lease, okay, or have some sort of an arrangement so that we, in that instance, we're still asking the people to vote for this, all right? If they vote it down, I'm sorry, you know? If they vote it down, that's what they get, is nothing. But if they vote for it, even though the majority of the money's coming from ARPA, some of the money is going to be obligated. And, you know, I don't know where everybody else comes down, but that's where I come down on it.
I agree with you, Rich. No matter which path we go, we have to go before the taxpayer, because they said no. I mean, I'd even say even if we funded the whole thing out of ARPA, and it's at our whim to do what we want with ARPA funds, I think we owe it to the public to go and ask them yay or nay. After they spoke last year.
I agree.
I agree with that.
And I would also say that, you know, thank you to you folks for being willing to go look, and, you know, at the information that we sent you, and Joe Cabral he sent me so many links, it was crazy. But the fact that you guys were willing to do it, I mean, it speaks volumes, okay? I think this is a fantastic deal. I don't know how the people would ever vote this down. I just don't. And I'll leave it up to the board to decide how they want to do the monies.
So if we take the current amount that we have in ARPA, subtract what we need for a backhoe, how much left do we have?
So you wouldn't have the entire amount for the purchase of the new fire truck. You'd still be about $20,000, $18,000 to $20,000 short, which you could lease, and you could spread it out.
Yep.
You could lease that amount.
Do we have hard quotes on the backhoe, or were they just estimates at CIP? Or these
He
park?
did have a hard quote.
Quote, okay,
that he
good.
did, yes.
We could also probably lease the backhoe too, right, if necessary? I mean, you can lease just about anything,
Yeah. It all comes down to how we want to allocate it. One of them's going to end up on a lease.
you know?
My guess, is if my math is anywhere as close, it would mean we have about 141,000
Correct.
left of ARPA funds.
Correct, sir.
And the backhoe was
I got a
what,
math problem
160?
right.
155.
And it's
So it's not
155 for the backhoe?
Yeah.
So what I would say is we have a token lease payment of 10 grand a year for how many years it takes, spend the rest of it on the fire engine and what's left on the backhoe.
So if we did quick math off of with the 600K, you went off and was like, what, $157,000 we were going to have to carry over 5 years?
It was 153,
Mhm.
8, which was going to be over 5 years, and that was $34,079.
Correct. Now that we saved $80,000 approximately, we just did quick.
I mean, it's gonna,
It's going to bring at least in half, right?
right. The problem is, I'm not sure that, I mean, so the rate is changing quickly. The amount that I brought to you, and I mean, this is just a matter of weeks, right? We had already jumped from 498 3 weeks ago to 539.
Ooh.
Yes, on Friday. And he said to prepare you that it could substantially go up between now and March. So if it's only, roughly 14,000 for the backhoe,
It's the better path.
could we find another source of that 14,000, then leasing it at an interest rate,
Since it's part of recycling, can we
Growing.
use part of that money?
expendable
Probably.
trust? Yeah. TPW?
Could do it there, pick up the cash out of that.
They have it? They have enough?
Well, they will if the warrant article, well, they do now, but even more, we have a warrant article on to fund it from unassigned
Yeah,
of
the
the
trust fund.
60,000, yeah.
So
Yeah, so you have the trust fund or the revolving.
with a
account.
revolving, I mean,
Yeah.
so either way, we can capture the monies for the remainder of the backhoe,
Mm-hmm.
that we already have it. That way, both end up being clean.
No
We go back to
interest.
taking care of all the public safety once again, right?
And what's gonna happen to the old backhoe? Are they gonna sell
Are they
it?
selling that, or are they keeping that too?
No, there was no trade-in on the
Because
quote that
I've
was
already had a
given.
couple of people say if we buy a new backhoe, they might be interested in buying the old one.
Yeah.
So that could be funds that come into play.
That, or you just allocate, you want it solid waste until it dies, right?
You could do that,
Can do
too.
either way, yeah, whatever makes more sense.
Although give Dave the old one.
Give Dave a new
What
one.
year is the backhoe? Does anybody know?
Is it on the list?
It's on the
Yeah,
list.
I don't know if it is on the list, actually.
Is it on there, the list?
I don't know if it is.
It's a 2012 Caterpillar
it's 10 years
backhoe
10 years old.
replacement, so the old ones must be 2012? Or is the new one 2012?
No, new one would be 22.
So the old one must be
10 years
12,
old.
yeah.
So Kim, could you put together language for a warrant article that would have a certain amount out of ARPA funds and a token 5-year lease payment?
I think the conversation we just had was paying the whole thing in opera, and then for the backhoe, just going buying the backhoe, because we have the money for it.
Okay, but,
We still need a warrant article saying we're gonna use ARPA funds
Yeah.
to pay for the fire truck.
okay.
Are you okay with that?
Well, the only thing, looking with a jaundiced eye here, is that people could say, well, even if we vote no on the fire truck, they're still gonna they're still gonna use ARPA funds and buy the fire truck. So, you see what I'm saying? So, if what I originally said, we couldn't buy it with just, legally we could.
Yes.
But
It
just,
wouldn't look right.
It will look good, but we had the same conversation after it failed last year about using ARPA and just go buying it. And this board right here said, we will not go do it because we're not gonna go against the will. So I think the taxpayer has precedent that we're not gonna go off and do it.
okay.
I mean, I know I won't vote to go do
No,
it.
I wouldn't either. But I'm thinking the mentality of the voter might be that, hey, they're gonna use ARPA funds, so who cares how
So you're
we
thinking,
vote?
keep a little bit of a hook on there that gives them,
Yes,
okay.
that's the only caveat.
But are we just spending money and paying interest for no reason?
No, it's minuscule. I mean, it doesn't amount to much.
I mean, and, you know, I've always been against using it on a lump sum thing, but that being said, I can't see how this doesn't get 80 or 85% of the vote. I mean, I would be totally shocked if it didn't,
Okay, and
because we're asking their permission now.
yeah, I agree. I think the challenge to the department is we need to have a visible presence
Yes.
out there.
Please.
I know I'm going to be there, so I would hope that the department's going to be there too.
Yeah, and I also plan on, we're gonna speak to the different groups in town as well, just so that they know and they can ask questions.
Yeah.
And where there, at least everybody is informed when they make their decision.
Well, I will go along with it, whatever the board says, you know, as far as using them all right up front or having some token lease payment. I'll go along with either way.
Of course.
I do have a question. The deal is fine, but technically, the original request was for 1,500 gallons. Now it's 1,000 that's
Right.
coming at us. Did I hear it right, or please explain? You're saying long-term strategic thinking is what I'm going for here. First of all, why did we initially want 1,500? Was that for a safety issue?
No, so originally, when we talked about purchasing a fire truck, we were looking at, eventually, we're gonna have to replace the tanker. So we were looking at, instead of coming back and asking for two trucks, where the tanker is older, that it would make sense to replace the two oldest trucks. But we've had the tanker looked at by a few different companies, and they're like, we've never seen a truck in this pristine a condition before, and there's nothing wrong with it. I would hold on to it and get as much as you can out of it. We've put very little in repairs into the truck. So, but originally the thinking was replace the two oldest trucks, get one truck with a little less water, but more water than the average engine. But now, after doing all this shopping around and looking, it doesn't make any sense to do it that way.
So I'm hearing that the tanker we have is in good condition.
It's in
so
very good
that's
condition.
And then if you had to buy one later, it's cheaper to buy
It's
the
cheaper,
tankers.
and they're actually out there where you can get them. I
Okay,
mean,
so-
I was looking at the stuff that Mr. Cabral gave us last week, and I saw like 4 tankers that were like 3 years old and fairly cheap money and in excellent condition.
Okay.
So the tankers are out there to buy. It's the engines that nobody can get a hold of, because the engines have to do so many different job functions that it really is specific department to department. You go to Manchester, you go to Nashua, and they've got ladder trucks that do extrication. They got the engines that just do fires. Well, for a department like us, we have to do it all, so we need more space to put all that equipment.
Do we still hit the 3,500 gallon threshold you wanted for the town with this configuration?
The 3,500 is the pump size, and we actually gain out of it because the new engine is 1,500 gallons a minute.
Right, yep.
Engine
I wrote
one is 1,500 gallons a minute,
that. Okay,
and then engine 4 is 1250, so we actually gain
All right.
more water volume.
I was confusing gallons in the tank
Oh, okay.
versus the pump. Now I'm on board. Now, because I'm saying, how are you downsizing the size of the water? And if there's a catastrophic failure with a truck, how do we make sure we
Right,
hit
so,
that
so
minimum?
go into a fire, if
the
we
pump.
were to get the new truck, we're rolling in with the same amount of water,
Mm-hmm.
just a higher pumping capacity and a newer, safer truck.
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
But you're not gonna ask us for a tanker anytime soon, right?
No, sir.
It's in pristine condition.
I promise you that.
Define anytime soon.
Divine promise.
So if I may, and I'm certainly not presuming anything, but if I've heard the discussion correctly, both here and at the Budget Committee, I think there's been support that this is the right option for the town to receive a truck. If you go with down the path of leasing, now you no longer have a warrant article that the Budget Committee can support because we have so little room under the cap.
Correct.
Point.
And I think that that's important that all the committees are on the same page when it goes forth to the taxpayers.
That's an excellent point.
And if we choose to use all ARPA, do we ask the budget committee to vote on it? They don't have to, but there's been times in the past that we have asked them to chime in on it for the taxpayer.
I think we should.
You know, because then it just shows two governing bodies.
I think we should. And that's an excellent point, Kemp, as far as that. You know, that's a game breaker as far as I'm concerned, because we want that,
Yep.
we want the budget committee to weigh in and approve it, because, you know, last time there was confusion because the budget committee did not, by statute, they couldn't.
Couldn't, but try to give a vote close enough to show that they did.
So if we just use ARPA funds and we ask for their vote, then they can do that.
There's no tax
Yeah.
impact.
That's,
I mean, it would be up to the
Yeah,
board
sure.
themselves if they want to,
Sure.
but I don't see why they want it, because they were so supportive last year of it, the majority of them.
What are you doing Thursday night?
We're going to a budget committee meeting.
That is the right answer.
Yes, sir.
So what is the will? Do we want to go all opera and then get the backhoe and try to use one of the other funds to pay the difference for the backhoe? So if we do that, we take care of police, fire, and solid waste.
Which is what I wanted, so I'll make the motion.
So it always back to public safety, right? What we kept talking about, taking care of them.
You kept talking about it. So I'll make the motion to use the ARPA funds to purchase a fire truck in the amount of $656,899. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Using ARPA funds alone for that, upon the will of the voter.
We have a motion by Mr. Leary.
I'll second.
We have a second by Ms. Queenan. Any further discussion?
Nope, and thanks again for being willing to look.
Well,
Thanks,
thank
guys. You did a
for your
great job.
support.
Really appreciate it.
And
Mr.
thanks
Leary.
for Joe. I'm an aye.
Mr. LaSalle's.
Aye.
Ms. Queenan.
Aye.
I am also an aye. Motion carries 4-0-0. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Good luck.
I will get it signed so
Okay.
that you can get it
Thank
back
you.
to.
Thanks for your research.
Oh, you're
Thanks for
welcome.
all the work.
That was,
Thank you.
I know you guys put a lot in over
that
the
was
last 4
great.
years.
Truly, very grateful. Thank you for the support.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything you guys
Thank God
do
it was a
for us.
demo. Who thought to ask about the demo? Is that you?
Doug?
Yeah,
Good job.
and I thought that was like a Hail Mary. Which I guess
It worked, right?
Thank you, have a good night.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Be well.
The trade-in's part of the deal.
Thanks. Good night, Ed.
Part of the price.
We gonna have a non-pub?
The quick one.
Yes.
All right, we have one item left, and that is a non-public session under RSA 91A:3-2C, reputation. Do we have a motion to go into non-public?
So move.
We have a motion by Mr. LaSalle's. Roll call vote. Ms. Queenan.
Yes.
I am a yes. Mr. Leary?
Aye.
Mr. LaSalle's?
Aye.
We are now in non-public. We do not think we'll need to come out for any reason other than to adjourn, but if we do, in order to do a public vote, we will. We are now going into non-public. Thank you for tuning in, and everyone be well. And Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everybody.
Yeah.
Vote for the fire truck. Glad we were able to fund a lot of different things with this money.
Definitely.